he's talking about organic.
Mm-hmm.
I heard some people say, I grew up and I just went to the store and I drank out of a hose and all this
Yeah.
stuff. I don't need to eat organic. I came out okay. What do you respond to those people?
Yeah, like you're probably right because the glyphosate, which is Roundup, which is a pesticide, that was created like in 19 maybe 71, like early 1970s, and that's when a couple years after it went into the market. So if you were born before that, then yeah, you didn't have this pesticide in your food, and you're probably okay. But moving forward from the 1970s, we do have Roundup, and it's used in a lot of crops. So that could be the difference. And the thing too is that our food has changed so much. Like before World War II, people used to eat more whole foods. There really wasn't this conversation about processed foods, because people used to cook at home, and an apple was an apple, and a pear was a pear, and we weren't confused, and there was not as many um, food products as there is today. So that's something different. Also, we had a change from like women staying at home to women being able to work. So about 80% of women are in the workforce now.
That's the problem. No, I'm
Which
just
is
kidding.
a good
I'm just
thing.
kidding.
But when we went into the workforce, then who's home
Cooking. Nobody. Because the
Nobody.
guys aren't doing it.
The guys aren't doing it, which is fine, right? Maybe we could have made a plan or something. But that's when the food industry came in. It's like, okay, we'll take over. We'll give you these ready to heat up meals. You'll be
Yeah.
fine. Go work, and we'll do that for you.
TV dinners, all
TV
that
dinners,
stuff.
all of that started during that time because, women needed that support, I guess. So the food industry came in and did that. And I don't know, I wasn't there during that time, obviously, but maybe at that time those meals, ready to eat meals, were more wholesome and were more whole food. But we fast forward to today and they're not, right? And we're still kind of in that spot where nobody has time to cook. There's a lot of people who don't know how to cook. We're eating out a lot more.
Sure.
We go to the grocery store and 75% of the food in the grocery store is packaged. We're confused by the food label, and that's by design because the food label was actually invented in the 1990s. The After like the 1960s, consumers wanted more transparency in terms of like what foods are we buying, in the grocery store, because there wasn't any, government regulation on what food companies could put on the food packet. So consumers just wanted to know. So during the 1960s, there was a food, conference at the White House, and they came up with this idea of the food label, which is interesting. There's a book that I'm reading that says that during that meeting, there was the VP of Monsanto, who was kind of head of this conference, and that's where the idea of the food label came in. Okay. And for those of you guys who don't know, Monsanto is the one that owns Roundup, Glyphosate, and the GMO seeds. There was also a lawyer in this group that ended up helping the FDA in the 1990s develop the nutrition label. So the nutrition label is confusing because it's kind of like by design in a way, because during that time when they were developing the label, the food companies were very welcoming of the label because they wanted to contribute to what should be on this label. And I think everybody knows what a label is, right? Where it has the calories and the fat and the sugar. But the FDA was kind of confused in terms of like, what information do we put on this label? Because before World War II, a lot of people were malnourished. And during this time in the 1990s, we were still malnourished, but we were more overweight, but we still didn't have enough vitamins and minerals.
In the 1990s?
Yeah.
Really? I thought people were less overweight in the past and more overweight.
Well, from the 1960s to the 1990s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So we weren't eating like enough vitamins and all that stuff. So that's why in the label you see that it has calories and sugar and fat. But when you look at the label, it doesn't tell you whether that food product is healthy for you or not. So, for example, if you see a label and it says 24 grams of sugar, if you don't know any better, which most consumers don't.
Mm-hmm.
Only 1 out of 3 consumers actually look at a label when they buy a food. So most consumers are not even looking at a label. But if you look at the label and it says 24 grams of sugar, you have no idea. Is 24 grams good? Is it not? And
Is it?
well, if you're a woman, your limit of sugar in a day is 24 grams. If you're male, it's 36 grams. So it just depends on your sex, how much, sugar you've had in the day.
Mm-hmm.
But that's kind of my point, where that label is not helpful, because you have to go and study. Like, it's not a very easy tool for any consumer to utilize. And, in my opinion, I think it's
Okay,
by
so
design.